Thank you for taking the time to log on to watch this brief video about options and career pathways post-16. Can I record my thanks to our Head of Careers, Mr. Stephen Bond, for all of his efforts in putting together a presentation which will hopefully inform you of the many different options and pathways that exist in post-16 study. It's extremely important that we help you and give you key information as you make choices with your son or daughter about their future. We want to help them, so at any stage, do not hesitate to reach out to Mr. Bond, indeed any of my colleagues or myself, if we can be of assistance. I very briefly want to outline a few observations. The first, reasons not to choose a subject. I'm going to be taught by the particular teacher I want. My friends are studying it. My mum, dad insist that I should study it. With due respect, those are not good reasons. Reasons to choose a subject for A-level study. I'm good at it. I want to study it, and it's a prerequisite. Those are the reasons we need to be focused on. In other words, you need it, you want to study it yourself, and you're going to do well in that particular A-level. There are many different career paths that didn't exist a number of years ago. If you're like me, you maybe don't have a clue what you want to do with your career. When I was 16, I hadn't a clue. So I encourage you to talk with your son, daughter, keep career options open if you're not too sure. For others, you will be very focused on a particular career and you will know the subjects that you need to study at A-level to ensure that those doors and those pathways are open. Please understand, we're here to help, and that's the purpose of this video. And as I said, please don't hesitate to reach out if we can be of any assistance. I look forward to seeing you in the near future, and I hope you enjoy watching the presentation from Mr. Bond. Once again, thank you for logging on.
Hello, and thanks for tuning into this video about post-16 options for our Year 12 pupils. So Year 12, it's the end of compulsory education. Once they finish their GCSEs, they are no longer required to be in school by law. And I think it's a really important realisation for our Year 12s to understand that as they move forward into sixth form. It's all about making informed choices, about making the best choice for each young person as they move forward in their education. And hopefully over the course of this video, I will help provide some advice as they make those choices for next year. So in making choices for next year and beyond, I mean, we live in a turbulent world, and the graphic I have on the screen just at the minute was produced by PwC almost 10 years ago, actually, but still holds true. And they named it their so-called megatrends. You can see here that they've highlighted problems like climate change, demographic shift, social instability, and technological disruption. And even if you scan the headlines, and these are two headlines from quite recently, you'll know that these are very prevalent issues. In Northern Ireland, for example, by 2027, according to a recent report, the population of over 64s will exceed the population of under 15s. That's going to have huge implications for sectors such as education and healthcare. Obviously, AI is becoming an increasingly dominant part of our everyday lives, and the news story on the right of our screens just illustrates how significant an impact it is making even now on the workplace and will continue to make in future. So, what are our young people to do with this uncertain future? How are they to make wise choices? And really, at the minute, we are working with our Year 12s on what we call the careers cycle. And all of our careers go through cycles. We take up new jobs, we move into new schools, we reflect on how we're getting on there, and then we begin to make decisions about our next steps. And that's where we are with our Year 12s. We've spent time this year thinking about self-awareness, what we're good at, what we enjoy. We've thought about opportunity awareness and how we access the job market. And hopefully over the next weeks, we'll come to a decision about what the best approach is for our post-16 options. For most of our young people, it's going to be A-levels. A-levels are a very valuable qualification, and the screen here just shows exactly what A-levels are and where they fit in our national qualification framework. So an A-level is a level 3 qualification, GCSEs are level 2, and with a level 3 qualification, you have a gateway to university. And not just university, but other options as well. So even if your young person is not thinking about university or is thinking about other routes such as higher level apprenticeships or further education, having a level 3 qualification, having A levels does open doors, and even to jobs for with employers who take students straight from A level. Of course, they're more demanding and they're more specialised. By narrowing from 9 down to 3 or 4, really our young people are making a pretty significant decision. They're leaving some things behind and they are plotting a course for the future in a way which is probably more pronounced than it was whenever they picked their GCSEs. So in Banbridge Academy, we offer the following subjects on the screen. You'll notice that a number of those are new subjects: psychology, drama and theatre studies, and government and politics being the three most obvious examples. But all of our subjects are covered in our subject choice booklet, which is available on Google Classroom and which pupils have been perusing in class and at home for the past number of weeks since the exams finished. All of the information about the course content is there, and pupils will also get some information about new subjects from their respective head of departments in due course. Just a couple of things to highlight, probably worth mentioning at this stage. English literature is worth mentioning. English literature is just that. It's the study of literature, being prose, poetry, and drama. So it is different from the English language qualification, which our Year 12s will be familiar with. They do currently study English literature at GCSE, but it's all taught by the same teacher. So they need to be sure that when they choose English that they are aware of what they're choosing. Of course, any subject has to set its own entry requirements, and pupils would be well advised to check those carefully in the entry booklets, in the advice booklets before they make their choices. There are subjects like government politics and business studies, which will admit pupils who haven't studied them before, but in other cases, art and design being an obvious example, the pupil would need to have studied that before, or at least have had a serious conversation with the head of department. So, how to choose subjects? Well, first of all, a word on how not to choose. Obviously, you shouldn't choose just because you like the teacher. We're a big school. Every department has multiple teachers who teach the subject, and so a pupil is not guaranteed on getting what they perceive to be their favourite teacher if they choose a given subject. You shouldn't choose a subject because you think it's easy either. What's easy for you may not be easy for someone else, and vice versa. And of course, you shouldn't choose a subject just because your friends are all doing it. So, I'm going to run through just 6 ways in which you can think about your subject choices, 6 questions you can ask to help you make those right decisions. And the first of those is, what do you require? Now, for a number of our young people, they do have set goals in mind in terms of their career pathway. And that might be something along the lines of veterinary medicine, might be engineering or computer science. And it's important to be aware that if you want to pursue careers like that, there will be university courses which have particular requirements for particular A-level subjects. And so I want to run you through a few examples of what that might look like. In example 1 here, this is the entry requirements taken from the website of the University of Exeter for the course in medicine. And as you can see there, A star and 2A is required with an A in chemistry and an A in biology. So both subjects there are essential at A level if you plan to study medicine. By contrast, if you choose to study medicine at Queen's University and choose to apply there, the criteria are slightly different. I'll not take time to read through all of that. You can pause the video and do that for yourself, or indeed find it online at the Queen website. But what you should notice is that chemistry is essential, but just one other A level from a list there. So my advice for anyone considering medicine is that by choosing chemistry and biology at A level, you leave your possibilities and your options much more open. Because some universities require both, not all, but if you want access to those universities, you'll need to take both subjects. Another example is engineering. So again, in a similar situation, we've got a very illustrious university here in Imperial College London, one of the top ranked courses in the country, an MEng in mechanical engineering, and as you can see there, they require the A star in mathematics, and they also require physics as a subject. So in this case, if you want to do engineering at that particular university in that particular course, maths and physics would be required. To take another mechanical engineering option though, if we look at Ulster University, this time the grade requirement is a lot lower, and you will see that there is no specific definite subject requirement, there is simply a list from which to select. Okay, so in this case, maths obviously is top of the list, but physics, chemistry, technology and design, design and technology, and others are acceptable. However, you can see from the bottom of the screen there, but that if maths, further maths, or physics is offered, then you get a further grade reduction. And I suppose the message when we look at this example is this. If a particular young person has engineering in mind, but perhaps one subject is going to be a challenge for them, they need to look at courses with the broad range of subject requirements and be aware that they could get into engineering with certain subjects in certain courses and not into other universities with other blends of subjects. I hope that's clear. But there are choices out there, but by choosing the right combinations, you can leave your options as open as possible. Example 5, what you can see here is physiotherapy in Glasgow Caledonian University, and as you can see, 3 A's required, but no particular subject requirements. In some universities, biology is a requirement or a similar subject to biology, but here in this example, 3 A's with 2 sciences, be they chemistry and biology, physics and chemistry, whatever. That is the requirement in this particular case. Final example then is computer science at the University of Manchester. And as you can see here, very interesting scenario. 2 A stars and an A must include an A star in maths and a minimum of 1 science. And you can see the sciences listed below, which do include computer science, but also include things like physics, chemistry, and biology. I think the interesting takeaway here is that the core skill for computing in the future is mathematics. Studying computer science, very beneficial, but it's the mathematics that is essential in this particular case. And that brings me on to criteria number 2. So obviously there are subjects which you must choose to access certain university courses. But there are many subjects which have no subject requirement. And one of the most surprising ones, which people often find unusual, is law. So law at Queen's University Belfast, as you can see here, requires just 3 A's. No requirement for English or politics or history. No specification here that those need to be taken. Just 3 A's. So in theory, you could get in to study law with physics, chemistry, and maths. However, you need to ask yourself, what are going to be the subjects at A level which help you to access and enjoy and thrive in a subject like law at university, where there's a lot of reading involved, where there's critical thinking, where there are essays and written exercises to complete. And obviously that's why law has been historically associated with things like history, English, and politics. Some universities will ask for a humanities style subject for those applying for law. And so it's important to have a look, again, I say, at university courses to see what might be helpful, what might be a supporting subject, and not just what's required. Beyond that then, how else do we choose? Well, we got to choose things which are going to be playing to our strengths. You might be familiar with the Greek myth of Sisyphus. Sisyphus eluded death a number of times. He played a trick on the gods a number of times, and his punishment was to push a rock up a hill for eternity, finding that every time he reached the top of the hill, the rock would slip from his grasp and slide to the bottom again. So it's become a symbol or a well-known metaphor for thankless work, for work that has no end and no meaning. And we don't want our young people to have that experience at A level. Instead, what we want is for them to pick subjects in which they're going to thrive, like the picture on the right. Subjects in which they already have a talent and which they can build that talent in and develop over time. In doing that, we hope that they will enjoy themselves. We all enjoy doing things we're good at. We all enjoy building our skill levels. We all enjoy becoming better at something. And we don't enjoy it when we're not doing well. And so we want our young people to pick subjects which they will thrive in and enjoy. On a slightly more utilitarian level, we also want our young people to be aware of the prospects for the future and the situation in the Northern Irish economy and beyond these borders. The graphics I have on screen here come from a couple of government publications from the past few years. The blue graphic is from the government's 10X economic strategy, and those 5 economic sectors in orange there have been highlighted as areas for growth in the future. Many of them involving technical skills and STEM subjects, but there is a place there for creative people as well with skills in the humanities. You'll see on the right of the screen, in the pink graphic, which comes from the NI Skills Barometer, that yes, we need more people with degrees in engineering, in maths, in physics, and other STEM disciplines, but we also need people who are in the creative arts. We need people who are experts in language. We need people who are qualified in history and philosophy, who can interpret the grey areas in life and make critical judgments. So if your young person has no clue about what they might want to be doing in 5 or 10 years' time, doing something which might point them towards a job in the future would be a worthwhile consideration. And then finally, when we put all this together, what do we get? Well, the answer is we want young people to pick A-levels, which are going to ensure them the best outcomes for the future. On the screen there, I've listed BBB. If you were to get BBB in your A-levels, those 3 results, you would have an awful lot of options for university courses. Yes, some of the more competitive courses require higher grades at A-level, but we want our young people to come out with grades that are at least BBB or better. Certainly when you slip down to the C's and D's, it can be harder to find places once you finish upper 6th. So what are they going to thrive in? What are they going to succeed in? That's what we want them to pick. So, while A-level choices may be the preference for most of our pupils, it's not the case for all, and we do need to be aware that some people choose not to make Banbridge Academy their destination after 6th form, and there are others too who will be disappointed by their GCSE results and may not get the grades required to enter 6th form at Banbridge Academy. So it's important that they need to realise that there are many options beyond the academy as well, and a few of those are listed on the screen. First of all, there are the FE colleges. We have Southern Regional College down in Banbridge and in other campuses in Newry, Armagh and beyond. There's SERC, the South Eastern Regional College in Lisburn and at other campuses just up the road, not pictured on screen. And of course there's the Belfast Met down in Belfast, where there are a range of courses on offer. So all of those institutions are open for application, and it's important that those coming out of GCSE, coming out of year 12, seek out courses which are at level 3 and above. So I mentioned level 3 back at the start of this presentation. If you want to have a look back at that graphic, you could do that as you consider courses at the FE colleges. Very important to be aware that places there are awarded on a first-come, first-served basis, and that those are open now for application. The SRC, for example, opened its FE applications on Monday the 3rd of February. Beyond that then, beyond just taking a course at the SRC, it's important to have a think about apprenticeships as well. The field of apprenticeships has come a long way in the past few years. It's no longer just the trade apprenticeships which are out there. Kind of 5 or 10 years ago, businesses started to experiment with degree level apprenticeships and higher level apprenticeships at level 4 and 5, and that is now starting to filter down in a number of industries to apprenticeships at level 3. So if you sign up to Work Plus, for example, who are a central local provider of apprenticeships, you'll find opportunities in level 3 at things like business administration, graphic design, accounting, and other such jobs. It's also worth thinking about looking on business websites themselves. For example, MJM Marine in Newry, as one example of a local employer who offer a wide range of apprenticeship programs, which you might want to have a look at. thinking about how you answer these questions, and we've thought about what is a pupil good at, what do they enjoy, what are the prospects for the future. We have a range of facilities available in school through which pupils can find help to answer those questions. We have our careers advisor from the Department of the Economy Career Service, and she's in every week providing one-on-one interviews and independent advice to our Year 12s. We have Google Classroom with a range of resources, and I would just remind you of the weekly careers bulletin, which contains all kinds of information about work experience, apprenticeships, university, and other things too. And then finally, we've got PeopleHawk. PeopleHawk is our career software which we use in school. It's got a fantastic range of personal profiling tools for things like personality, values, interests, and cognitive ability. There's an awful lot to it, and I would sincerely recommend that you engage with your pupil, with your young person, and ask them about what they've learned from PeopleHawk and how they can engage with it better. And finally, just the corner in the bottom, the picture in the bottom corner of the screen there is of you and your young person potentially having a conversation. Keeping the lines of communication open is so important, and I would really recommend a serious conversation at this time about what A-level choices might mean, what other options are out there, and what the implications might be for the future. Couple more things before we finish this presentation. I think it's really important not just to stress the qualifications that pupils will get, but to stress the skills that they will build as well. Employers talk an awful lot about the skills deficit and the need to have highly skilled young people. And we want young people to not just to work hard at their schoolwork, but to engage with extracurricular experiences, to get work experience, and to do things which are going to enhance their CV for the future. A word on timings. At the minute, we are working through an initial subject choice exercise where pupils have indicated their preference for subjects. After half term, it's going to be time for the final submission of choices, and there's some information on the screen here about the programme of events which is going to be happening, all culminating in the middle of March with the final GCSE choices. More information will issue about that in due course, but all that remains for me to say is that I hope this has been helpful. I hope that it will stimulate a productive conversation between you and your young person. And of course, if there are any questions, I'm always happy to discuss options. So thank you very much for tuning in, and all the best.